Welcome back to Sunday Report. The left in New Mexico want to take away your guns. Democratic Governor Michelle Grisham on Friday issued an emergency order suspending the right to carry firearms in public across Albuquerque and the surrounding county for at least 30 days in response to recent gun violence. Governor Grisham says that she expects legal challenges. Well, you would probably imagine that. Attorney Jonathan Turley tweeted this out in response, quote, "The order, in my view, is flagrantly unconstitutional under existing Second Amendment precedent. It could also be a calculated effort to evade a ruling by making the period of suspension so short." So we're going to discuss. Let's bring in retired U.S. military intelligence officer Steve Rogers. He's also a former New Jersey police officer. We also have Betsy Brantner-Smith, a veteran of the Chicago Police Department. She joins us. She's also a spokesperson for the National Police Association. Welcome. I also want to bring back our in-studio guest today. We have defense attorney and former federal prosecutor Randy Zellin. So Betsy, I want to get to you first. What's your reaction after hearing that New Mexico's governor making this emergency order ruling suspending the right to carry arms?
You know, one of the things that the National Police Association talks about constantly is a citizen's right to protect themselves. Police cannot be everywhere, but this does not surprise me. I live in Arizona, next door to New Mexico, and this governor is one in a long line of governors who continue to destroy that beautiful state, and to assume that criminals in Albuquerque, remember this is only in Albuquerque, criminals in Albuquerque are going to somehow obey the do not carry your gun law is just patently absurd. And it's more of the left's failure to recognize what's actually causing violent crime and just trying to put a Band-Aid on it while, you know, getting her own political views out front. It's ridiculous.
Interesting point. Steve, what's your reaction? Do you think this is unconstitutional?
Yes, I do. In fact, this is the governor that also said the Constitution is not absolute. Look, Sergeant Betsy and myself as law enforcement officers took the same oath that this governor did, and that was to protect the law of the land and to uphold this country on the Constitution of the United States. That governor breached her oath. She breached her word with the public. She should be impeached as soon as possible. She has no place in government as far as I'm concerned.
And from a legal perspective, Randy, can we expect that there are going to be challenges to this?
Well, the interesting thing is, as we noted at the top, the timing of it. Because odds are, by the time anyone gets into court, by the time it is decided, if you're not beyond the 30 days, you're bumping up right against it. So I think, once again, it's extreme on both sides.
Right.
Someone should ask the governor, what is your motivation here? Maybe her motivation is honorable, but she is flouting the law, and probably she is blowing right through the Constitution. But then again, calling for her impeachment, calling for her beheading, everything is just so extreme. The left, the right, believe me, if someone on the right, if their kid got shot by someone who didn't have a gun, I don't think the response would be, well, you know, we had a Second Amendment right. We have to calm down and address the problem. We're not doing it. Too much hyperbole, too much rhetoric.
Can I address that a second, my friend?
Steve,
listen,
yes.
Calling for impeachment is not extreme. That's working within the framework of the law. Look, I'm against violence. I'm against any type of violence against issues that we don't agree with. But that Constitution and the law that our founders gave us was a mechanism to deal with people like this governor. There's no place in government for a person that breaks their word to the public.
Betsy, do you want to jump in?
I absolutely do. I couldn't agree more with Steve. These far left politicians are ruining this country. We can look at every blue city in this nation and see that their policies, their pro-criminal, anti-cop policies are not working. But we have got to work within the system. And Steve is absolutely right. That's what impeachment is for. And I urge people, voters like you and me, to take a look at the candidates that are being brought forth and make sure that they are pro-law and order, pro-constitution, and pro-crime victim, anti-criminal people, so that we can take this country back. We are about to lose this nation. And, we've got our invasion at the southern border, our invasion of criminals in our blue cities. We have to do something, and it starts with the American people.
So, Randy, you don't think impeachment is the right play, though, here?
We throw around the term impeachment like we order dinner. Once upon a time, if you even whispered impeachment, it was breathtaking. Before President Clinton was impeached, when did we ever hear even a whisper of impeachment?
Yeah.
Nixon? And then when before that? Now all of a sudden, impeach this one, impeach that one. I'm going to shut the government down if Biden doesn't get impeached. Trump gets impeached 43 times. It's going to be the new norm. I don't like what you do. I'm going to move for your impeachment.
Great point. Let's move on to this. Homicides increased in Washington by 96% between 2019 and 2022. In Seattle, 2022 marked a 15-year high in violent crimes. You got homicide, rape, robbery, assault. Steve, I'm going to go back to you on this one. Of Seattle, of all places, crime now on the rise. What do you make of these cities now that we're seeing record highs across the board now?
Well, I dare not use the word impeachment, with all due respect. No, he's a good guy. I appreciate him, believe me.
Impeach me.
But again, we go back to what Betsy completely and very well articulated. The people have to use the power to vote. They've got to remove from office all these individuals who are presenting a woke agenda, defunding the police, looking to coddle criminals and not help victims. And by the way, if you recall, we just had one of those anti-police defund politicians, I believe in Minnesota, who was nearly beaten to death. And my heart's out for her. I don't want to see anybody hurt. But now she's turned her tune. You got to get tough. Give the police the tools they need, but give the people the tools they need to make these changes.
And to that point, to that story, she was openly outspoken about defunding the police. She gets, this is a lawmaker there, and she gets attacked, for people that haven't seen the story. I believe she was carjacked, and then she posted a picture of herself wounded. But then she made these comments saying, well, remember this the next time that we're, prosecuting these people. So, Betsy, I want to go back to you on this. It seems like if it only happens to them, then that's when their tune changes. What do you make of that?
You're absolutely right. We're starting to see more and more concern about high-end retail theft. Why? Because the stores where rich people shop are now being invaded. Nike just closed its flagship store in Portland. Of course, we saw Nordstrom's leave San Francisco. We see these stores in LA. They're just closing them down. And so what we have got to do is take a look at, again, of the last 3 years of the vilification and the demonization, not just of the American law enforcement officer, but our entire justice system. And we need to go back to recognizing that the American justice system is the best system in this world, and we need to go back to using it. Evil exists, and very often evil needs to spend 10 or 15 or 20 years in prison. We got to go back to that.
All right, we'll leave it there, unless you want to talk impeachment, Randy.
Stephen Betsy should recall my impeachment, because I agree with them. Respect for law enforcement, respect for our system of justice has to be first and foremost.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here today, Randy. Steve Rogers, Betsy Brantner-Smith, appreciate you coming on as well.